Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Hermitage, Strange Case Files on Nintendo Switch. Oh, just a minute. Hold on a second. Okay, sorry about that. It's okay, cheer up. There are still a few questions I want to ask you. Ask Cecile about the details of her vision of Eloise. I know it's not easy, but I'd like to talk about Eloise again. About what happened to her in your daydream. Cecile's expression turns to stone. I know it's not easy to talk about it, and very personal. If you don't want to.
No, it's okay.
Her answer is a mere whisper. Her eyes still reveal some uneasiness and fear, but she seems more composed than she was yesterday.
I'm ready.
Cecile takes a deep breath, mustering up as much courage as possible. It seems as if she's been mentally preparing for today. So, can you describe the environment around you again? Yesterday you didn't really give the clearest description. It was chaotic, to say the least. Cecile lets out a bitter laugh.
One thing was totally clear, and that was Eloise lying on the ground. It might be because of my own fear, but the surrounding environment was just a big blur. It was a quartz floor, I could see that much. Our building has the same style of floor tiles in the hallways and stairwells. Her art tools were scattered everywhere, strewn about on the ground, but it was hard to make out details.
So it was indoors?
I couldn't see any familiar chairs or desks, but the classroom floor is different.
And you said there's a lot of blood around her. Were there any other signs of injury besides that?
There was some slight bruising on her arm. I couldn't see it very clearly. Her hair covered up a lot. Ah, one more thing. Her clothes were particularly messy, something that wouldn't just happen from falling to the ground.
It was horrible. The wound is arguably the most direct clue we have. Even without any expertise, the average person could deduct a lot from that through common sense. And I can ask some friends who are experts on this matter for help. But overall, Cecile's description is way too vague to find out exactly what happened. There's something else. You said you were able to make out a painting. Can you describe it?
I can't recall many details, but the painting's paper was thin and it was torn open. I've seen that painting around before. Even though I can't remember what was on it, the impression is still imprinted on my mind.
Maybe you could look for it? It might offer some clues.
I've tried to find it, but, well, that's all we have so far.
Ask about Eloise as a student representative. Yesterday you said Eloise frequently gets into arguments and doesn't get along well with others. I'm a little curious. If that's the case, then how'd she end up with her position? Sounds like there's been a lot of trouble lately, right?
I'm not really sure, but I once overheard two teachers talking.
Oh?
This year's change of representatives was unusual, but the school had to do it, or else it would have had severe consequences.
Sounds like there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
I don't know the teachers that well, so I couldn't just ask them about what exactly happened.
A new representative. A big change like that is bound to leave some traces. Is her suddenly having such an important position the reason others have a problem with Eloise?
I don't really think that's the reason. Usually, even if someone they don't like ends up in a representative position, the students aren't really bothered by it. And although it's a nice title, there's a limit to what a representative can actually do. They basically help teachers and receive things. Sometimes they attend school meetings to represent the student body. They don't do much else.
I see. So it's really just a fancy title after all.
A few students seem to care and deliberately keep their distance. Usually they're the ones who take the lead in picking on classmates, so there's a lot of resentment towards them.
Do they have their eye on you?
Not right now. I've been avoiding the seniors.
Cecile's expression relaxes a little, and she shows the hint of a smile. Seems like you want things to stay how they are.
If she always has my back, will they start to focus on her? I don't want that to happen. She's done more than enough for me already.
You could ask your teachers.
That would only make things worse.
Her expression becomes more gloomy.
That day, I stood outside the classroom and heard them arguing about something with Eloise. I heard someone say that if she overstepped her boundaries, they wouldn't give any credit to the art club at next semester's competition.
So, like a strike then?
I understand it's impossible for her to ignore our threats to such an important event.
So it's a balancing act between the two sides for her.
I'm sure it's really getting to her. It's clear that there are some problems going on in the background.
Cecile begins to mumble, but she's obviously sad and doesn't want to get into this topic any further. Time passes way too quickly. We made some progress, but nothing groundbreaking. The hallucinations made their first appearance after she started using incense. There's an obvious connection there. I highly doubt it could be a mere coincidence. Other factors, as of yet unknown, might be involved, but the causal link between the two is clear. The origin of the incense called lilac grass is unknown, but Cecile explained how to use it. We have no way of finding out how this trend started. Students at that age are easily manipulated and eager to try new things. It's possible that someone spiked the incense and mixed something else into it. No one would notice until it's too late. In recent years, the abuse of LSD has become increasingly popular among the underage population. If lilac grass has begun to spread among the students, I would have more access to information, but it would also mean that the situation is getting worse. This could just be one example of something much bigger going on. Then there's the matter of Cecile seeing Eloise in her dream. If these dreams are rooted in reality, there might be more to Eloise than she lets on. She is, after all, the person supplying Cecile with the incense. Sooner or later, Cecile will have to confront her and ask her about its origins if she wants to find out more details. It's a very serious thing for a student to be physically injured at school. Such events are far more likely to leave a mark than anything else. I feel sorry for Cecile, but we should probably take a break. That seems to be all for today. I put away my pen and accompany Cecile out the door. Cecile looks quite exhausted. She bows politely. By the way, it would be better if you didn't use lilac grass anymore. You don't know exactly where it comes from, so you shouldn't take it lightly.
Well, if Eloise asks, I'll make up some excuse.
I know you care about her a lot, but be aware of the fact that she's hiding something. I'll get in touch with you as soon as I find out more. It's up to you to decide whether or not you approach her. I think that's enough for now. We've talked quite a bit.
I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time. Goodbye.
My initial questions have been answered, but many more have come up, and the whole dynamic of this case is changing. No one's to blame. Small progress is better than no progress. But if this is the pace at which we'll continue moving forward. Anyway, I should share what I found out with Scarlet. I decided to ignore my growling empty stomach and go back inside to continue working. Alright, just a second again. Sorry about that. Okay. Realistic dreams. Underneath its pure white exterior, Phoenix High School is hiding something bad. Can we find out more? New conclusions. Her visions reflect the past. Cecile's decision. According to Cecile, Eloise has been standing up for her ever since she joined the club. However, the students' issues weren't immediately resolved. To avoid further trouble for Eloise, Cecile chose to suffer alone. Okay, guess we're not ready for that. Next stage. Nighttime. Looks like it's going to start raining any moment now. How about some more appropriate weather for once? It's closing time and I fumble for the key to the front door on the ground floor and slip it into my pocket. An hour and a half of talking, 4 cups of coffee, the perfect recipe for an overactive bladder. Bathroom. It would have been impossible to fit a bathroom anywhere on the ground floor, and at times like this, just a few flights of stairs can seem especially long. What the hell is wrong with today's youth? No one would accuse anyone for bad behavior alone, but an unprovoked attack demonstrates the injustice in the world, plain and simple. Cecile doesn't seem to be from a rich family. How is it even possible for her to go on to Phoenix High? Time to head out. I wash my hands and go back downstairs. I don't think I'm seeing clearly. Might as well go back and rinse out my eyes. Good evening, sir. Are you all right? I would be if you hadn't shown up. I answered loudly from outside the door. I'm sorry, I picked a bad time to visit since you're off work. May I come in? It's really inconvenient to talk like this. The visitor's trench coat and hat are drenched. He seems unperturbed, casually covering a briefcase he is holding in his left hand. He has the same build as me, with an inconspicuous face. Judging by his complexion, he is most likely from Europe, but he doesn't have any prominent features. His composure is meticulous, straight, and expressionless, so it's impossible to know what's going on in his head. I'm afraid that's not a good thing. I'm relieved to see you're still here. Seeing as you're here now, I can't go, so what's up? I want to confirm that you're well. I also have a few books that I would like to sell on my behalf. What? I didn't expect you, of all people, to want me to sell books one day. What with your current status, I think you'll be well suited for this assignment. It just makes sense. This statement is so on point that I can't even find an excuse to deny it. To be honest, I don't remember where I first met this strange guy, but I knew he would come by, mostly to make sure that I was still staying at the bookstore. After all, this unfriendly person in front of me is the one who offered me a place to hide after that incident. The visitor opens his briefcase, methodically removing book after book from it and placing them on the work desk. They look like old volumes, most of which have been repackaged with plastic covers. The mountain of books doesn't seem like it could have been fitted into that slim leather briefcase. I think we should talk about your definition of a few books. You are trustworthy, and I know you won't want any trouble. You can turn your attention back to the other matters that after you've sold the books. The profit margin you take from the sale is up to you. You're not selling books, you're giving them away, friend. I pick up one of them and flip through the pages at random. Can writing on paper really be considered a product? I've always been skeptical of that. Knowledge can never be measured in money, and if a book is purchased for knowledge, then I value destiny more than a price tag. I didn't peg you for a romantic. I'll go ahead and agree to this, but I won't take anything that's too dangerous. It wouldn't sell anyway. I knew you wouldn't refuse. You couldn't know that for sure. These books come in all sorts of categories, and I give up my perusal of the books to study the catalog. Modern poetry collections, newspaper clippings, current political commentary, investigation reports, field notes, yearbooks. Honestly, you're leaving me 2 copies of the Story Club here? I think some of these books are still... Huh? What is it? It's nothing. These aren't bad. I'll keep them for you. This might work. I closed the book in my hand and tried to control my facial expression. That's good. Now that you've taken these off my hands, I shall take my leave. He picks up his briefcase and turns sharply to face the door. You're leaving already? Don't you want to wait out the rain? The delivery man ignores my advice.
Now that the purpose of my visit has been served, there is no need for me to take up any more of your time. I'll be in touch again. When the time is right, good luck to you.
He lifts his hat in farewell, then disappears outside the store. The cold sweat breaks out on my skin, and my clothes are sticking to my back. I quietly move towards the door and check the surroundings. I don't know if it's just my imagination, but there seems to be a tall girl on the other side of the street. She's facing this way, holding up a cell phone for a photo. After she notices me looking, she quickly puts away the phone and makes her way to the subway station nearby. Probably just someone who's interested in architecture. After all, the building looks like a piece of cake with the top cut off, which is a relatively rare shape for a house. I can't worry too much about this right now. I make my way back inside and approach the old bookcases. The former owner of Hermitage made good use of the available space, managing to stuff 3 sets of bookshelves inside. The shelves are categorized by somewhat self-conscious names such as Is Ich and Uba Ich. They are huge and filled to the brim, limiting the line of sight. The air is damp and warm. Because the rooms are quite small, customers can pick up a book anywhere on the ground floor and allow themselves to drown in its pages while enjoying a quiet and private reading experience. Being entranced by what you're reading can definitely screw with your perception of time. Sitting there, watching rays of light shimmering through the window, occasionally broken up by the silhouette of a customer walking by, light and darkness interrupted at an irregular interval while time slips away without anyone even noticing. What a great feeling. But today, there's no time to relax and enjoy the moment. That guy, he knows something for sure. No matter how much I think about it, I can't remember ever telling him about the whole situation with the seal. There are some strange, unfamiliar books among the ones he delivered. No one could guess what exactly they're about just by checking the title. Hermitage has always been a relatively safe place, hidden away from prying eyes. Being able to hide someone in such a big city says a lot about the man's capabilities. He must know a lot of things. He helped me, but I've had my suspicions since the very beginning. He has his own agenda, no doubt about that. It's a classic case of too good to be true. There must be some reason as to why he decided to help me. Anyway, if I don't want any trouble, I should check out the books. I approach a bookshelf and place the newly arrived books in the most inconspicuous spot in a corner. Things are slowly starting to get back to normal. I should have a look at the first book he gave me. This is the store's most interesting section. I put the most important books in this bookcase. Seems to me that the new books are perfect for this section. Codex Seraphim, a local print of the Codex Seraphim. The author is unknown. An encyclopedia with pictures and text. It hasn't been translated. The book contains a large number of explanatory images, but the language is composed of unknown characters that vaguely resemble English and are unreadable. The only thing written in actual English is the title. One page is folded, as if to draw attention to it. It shows 2 people in bed whose bodies are overlapping and bizarrely morphing into a crocodile. Someone used a pencil to add a footnote. Eli Eli Lema Sabatyatani. An old thread-bound book. The author claims to be a Taoist. The paper is very old and the edges of the text are blurry, most likely because it was written by hand. The book is divided into 2 parts. The first part is about the rise and upkeeping of an old Taoist concept called crane view. A detailed description with historical examples is given. The second part is written in the form of an autobiography. A fanged demon called the Scaled Great One with horrifyingly sharp claws is mentioned. Later on, the author succumbs to the madness surrounding him. Sorry, itchy eyes. The last half of the second part is chaotic and confusing, lacking any sort of coherence and logic. A lot of numbers are jumbled into the text. The last sentence that makes any sense is: the skies as well as the earth are dark and treacherous, an ancient mystery we mustn't look at, for the scaled great one looks right back at us. What follows is a chaotic sequence of numbers: 1, 5, 5, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. A hardcover written by Hong Shuang. A history of cannibalism. Judging from the obvious craftsmanship demonstrated in the making of this book, is definitely rare and wasn't printed in a factory. It's a compilation of old historic folklore tales. The book records a large number of instances of cannibalism from ancient times up until the modern Republic of China, most of it based on hearsay, with very little actual evidence provided by the author. The book specifically mentions that there were more than a dozen cannibal villages along the southern coast. but they were either disbanded or its inhabitants were killed in shipwrecks. Let's see, Ancient Prescriptions, a paperback rebound in a white cover featuring only the title of the book. There's a little bit of dirt on some of the pages, but there are no signs of wear and tear. It's apparent that the original owner meticulously maintained the book and kept it in great condition. Judging by the way of writing, it's safe to assume the book was written during the time of the Republic of China. The book contains a large number of strange medicinal recipes that are supposed to make flesh from bone and raise the dead. Ancient texts further describe the application of Chinese recipes, while foreign recipes were interpreted by the author in broken English. In a chapter called Spirit Fragmentation, the author mentions a recipe for a powder derived from a formula discovered by the famous Taoist Lao Tzu. Supposedly, it can move your soul, show you another path, and return the years long lost to you. This powder doesn't appear only in China. The book states that it was spread by travelers from Southeast Asia, and it still exists today. Let's see, Papri Greca Magica, a hardcover that has never been translated. The author is unknown. The book seems unusual and is most likely from abroad. It's written in English. The title roughly translates to Greek magical papyri. The texts included contain mostly excerpts related to mysterious rituals and magic spells discovered in ancient Greek ruins. The author added illustrations and spells to these rituals to make them more accessible. A part of the book is called Aphrodite's Blessing of Luck and Love. Includes several pieces of old parchment paper which describe in detail how a certain pattern needs to be painted on a stone tablet to complete the ritual. Tomb Construction, reprinted in 2005. The book was carefully bound in thick paper. The book uses the common specifications of domestic textbooks, and the table of contents indicates that it is a textbook for landscaping architecture, focusing on the style, layout, and cultural background of a mausoleum architecture around the world. However, deviating from the table of contents, most parts of the book relate to a large mausoleum located in a place called the Land of Nine Evils. According to the book, Qinshiyang Mausoleum belonged to an emperor named Qinshiyang, but it does not include further references and information about the emperor's age, time, and deeds. The book uses the behavior of crustaceans as an analogy to the construction process of the mausoleum and includes a list of all the different types of craftsmen at work. According to the book, the sky turned red, heavy rain plowed through the pitch black soil, and the mausoleum became a tomb. The Call of Cthulhu, a kitten with tentacles, is looking straight at the reader from the front of this hardcover, published in 2017. It's a rule book for a role-playing game in which the players seem to be cats. The author dedicates a lot of chapters to the various characters inhabiting this game's world, the things the player can do as a cat, and all the mysteries hidden in the cat world. Unlike other games of this kind, the author did away with a lot of the more complex rule sets. Common systems, such as dice rolling to determine actions, have been simplified, in this case being replaced by a less complicated cat dice, an invention by the author to streamline the experience for casual players. Despite its casual appearance, the author has spared no effort and goes into great detail. Many of the fictional old gods in this game are apparently imitating classic imagery, but have been changed into cat versions of their former selves. One can't help but smile while playing this game. Apparently there's more to come and more things to be introduced in future chapters, but this one's already pretty good. Let's see, Wild Magic, a hardcover published in 2017. The scene of the horrific creature on the cover is really chilling. This book is for advanced investigators who have already read The Trail of Cthulhu. It is devoted to magic, spells, and incantations associated with the Cthulhu myth. It covers all the knowledge that an aspiring magician must master, from cheap street parlor tricks all the way to occult rituals to summon various ancient gods. Everything is included in this small book, making it a dangerous read. What makes this book particularly horrifying is the fact that it is told straight from the viewpoint of a magic practitioner living in a world based on the Cthulhu myth. Being exposed to all of this might drastically change how readers perceive the world around them. The Trail of Cthulhu, a hardcover published in 2015. There are strange letters and illustrations on this cover. People known as investigators are willing to pay any price in the pursuit of our world's deepest, darkest hidden secrets. This book serves as an introductory manual, secretly spread among these investigators. It describes the necessary skills that investigators need to have and the many dangers they will face, most of which are horrible and twisted enough to make them wish for a quick and merciful death. The historical setting of the book is in the United States in the 1930s. The knowledge contained in here is enough to shake up how you view the world, seeing as how it lays open the dark hidden truths behind our society. In addition, the book also covers many aspects of Cthulhu mythology, including the introduction of deities and creatures, magic spells, and ancient scriptures, all of which are described in vivid detail. I think that's all of them. Unless there's some other books I don't know about. Okay, that's really... I can't help but sigh. It pains me to admit it, but this is the most progress I've made in the last 2 days. It irritates me that it took someone else's help to get to this point. My eyes are strained from focusing too hard in such bad lighting conditions. I placed the book in a column marked, "Not for sale, borrowing only." That man is impossible to analyze. I should really handle things carefully until I know more about what his intentions are. Before I can settle into the chair, the phone in my pocket starts ringing. I think we're getting somewhere. Phoenix High absolutely has a problem. I went to their management to check their records. It's just pure chaos, just mountains upon mountains of paper. In addition, the Young Artists Association has submitted several requests to the Department of Education. There have been 17 requests in March alone. It must be something really important. That's way too much. Correspondence or some regular topic. Do you have any more details? Not at the moment, no. Also, I'm meeting up with some old friends from the department. It's more convenient to go through the filing cabinets at night. That method sounds unofficial. So, you've got a better idea? Nah, I give up. Your way it is. You owe me a favor. Of course, anything you need. Let's leave it at that then. Let's talk about the other thing tomorrow morning, if you have the time. You mean the files? Yeah, I'll update you on what I can find, and we can figure out the rest then. What's the hurry? You can't go out anyway, so you'll be my advisor. No problem. I'll have a look at everything tomorrow morning. Okay, talk to you then. The president of the Elite Art Club is right. Phoenix High School isn't as perfect as its long-standing reputation makes it out to be. According to Scarlett, there were some incidents at the beginning of the year that attracted the attention of the Department of Education and even prompted calls for disciplinary action. Even the Young Artists Association is involved in this, so could the bad atmosphere at Cecile's art club be related to this? Does what she saw actually have something to do with these incidents? Since we've made an appointment to meet up tomorrow, I shouldn't stay up too late. Something about that guy doesn't seem right. If it were anybody else, I could talk myself into thinking it was a coincidence, but every move this guy in the trench coat makes seems suspicious. Next time he comes to the store, maybe I should try making a joke or something. It's easier to seem passive and pretend not to suspect anything that way. I should accept his good intentions for now and see what happens. Let's see, there's an animal documentary on the Discovery Channel. This episode is about killer whales. Much of the program's material is comprised of research collected on killer whales by scientists from all over the world. There's a lot of interesting information regarding their social interaction with each other. It's a really good show. Let's see, anything new? Ah, here we go. How are things at Phoenix High School? The main focus of the discussion strikes me as strange. However, at least it confirms that the school is far from perfect. I saw a news section about bullying yesterday and I grew a little concerned. My relative's daughter studied at Phoenix High School. We used to be quite close, but she's kind of stopped talking to me over the last 2 years. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that she spends most of her time in school, and we have fewer opportunities to see each other. Do you have any friends or family who are familiar with this kind of situation? Every now and then I feel like something might have happened and I'm a little worried. Isn't that a private school? I hear it's a pretty common occurrence there. I'm not one of you big city people, but I've heard of that school before. It's pretty famous. If there really were a problem like that, wouldn't it have come up a long time ago? Anyway, what do you have to do with a relative's daughter picking up the phone? Suspicion, report it. Answer to the second comment. I live pretty close to Phoenix High School, and I often see students heading out to go shopping after school or getting picked up on the weekends. They're always looking down their noses at other people, like they're better than everyone else. Money breeds arrogance meme, JPEG. It's quite bad, actually. There have been reports of students beating up other students for the last 2 years. It's just that the parents usually don't want to make a big fuss about it, so they deal with it quietly. It's becoming more and more common these days for high achievers to develop psychological issues. Being stressed out like that really isn't a joke. Answer to the fourth comment. I think Juliet means that she's a sister to her. Manners, Ceres. What was the original chime of the clock tower called? Answer to Raven. Many people thought it wasn't fitting to play a British tune, so they asked for it to be changed. Oh, okay. Wait, this isn't new. We've read this before. What's relationships? Anything to do there. Let's end the day then. The drowsiness finally fades away and the girl takes a slow, deep breath as she returns to the room. The feeling of being back on solid ground weighs heavy in her stomach, but the girl is able to hide it for now. Are you sure we're doing this right? Her small frame leans against a wall for balance, and she still seems a little confused. She struggles to control her expression and make herself look a little more determined. It's hard for you too. Even just wanting to catch some fresh air at the school comes at a cost. At least the incense gives you some peace of mind, she thinks, but she can't say it out loud. You look out for me. I'm used to pranks and I don't want a close friend like you to suffer. If you continue to put up with it, they'll just keep doing it. I'm worried about you. If you don't hold on until next year, it will all be for nothing. Is the competition really that important? There's no use in making noise and attracting attention now, is there? We need absolute proof. Until we have it, we just have to stay put. I know, but I'm still a little... Besides, I want to spend more time with you. Those words make both of their faces flush a little. Speaking of which, your birthday's coming up soon, right? Finally, one of them breaks the silence. The light is dim, and she can't make out more than a faint glow. Yeah, that's right. A bright smile breaks the awkward tension in the room. I'm so sorry I didn't prepare anything for your birthday, but... That's not your fault. I didn't even tell you when my birthday was. Anyway, I hope you're looking forward to your birthday present. Surprise? She immediately starts wondering about it, what it could possibly be. About that, if I ask you a question, will you answer truthfully? Sure, what is it? It's really simple. She stands up and approaches her, looking straight into her eyes. Are you really doing all this for my sake? Mm-hmm. The girl turns around and hugs herself. Even outside the hallucination, that spark behind the eyes is a mystery she has never quite managed to understand. Walking the same path has turned it into somewhat of a shared obsession, buried deep within. The last glimpse made her shiver. It's like dancing on the tip of a knife. Does Scarlet have a dual personality? Like, does she talk to herself? And the person that she thinks is murdered is actually just herself? It's kind of seeming like that's what it is. I didn't have long to wait for Scarlet. I had a little too much to drink last night. She crawls into the store with a weary expression as if she were close to death. Whoa there, looks like you were hogging all the bottles and didn't leave anything for your drinking buddies. As she comes closer, I catch a whiff of makeup. Staying up late is excusable, but I didn't think it makes sense that she used that much makeup to cover the bags under her eyes. Seeing my expression, Scarlet leans grumpily against the bookcase. I spend my days and nights drowning in wine while putting up a fake smile, all to gather small tidbits of information from the people in charge. And this is thanks. And this is the thanks I get? I rub my nose, embarrassed. As always, you can be counted on at such a critical moment. She gives me a satisfied, victorious smirk, like a child who has the upper hand in an argument. Doesn't look like she's going to change her habits anytime soon. So, what'd you find out yesterday?
It's kind of difficult. As I mentioned yesterday, the Department of Education, the Association of Youth Artists, and Phoenix High School communicated a lot last semester. The correspondence between them has been unusually frequent. Generally speaking, the school itself can initiate administrative penalty sanctions against the student. The administrative bodies outside the school do not usually interfere, as long as everything is in line with the school's rules and regulations. Superiors getting involved in the process is somewhat of a taboo, as it would imply that the school was doing something wrong.
But this time is different.
Yes, in this case, sanctions were withdrawn multiple times.
I can't help but swallow, even though my mouth is as dry as a desert.
And the initiator of the sanction wasn't even Phoenix High School, it was just a substitute.
Is that even allowed? The school has to follow certain rules and regulations after all.
That's exactly the point.
She takes out a stack of papers that appears to be confidential documents. They have various headlines, but the words withdrawal and notification appear often and stick out like a sore thumb.
In March, the Young Artists Association repeatedly asked authorities to monitor Phoenix High School and take disciplinary action against the students, but they always withdrew their requests. It's a constant back and forth. They withdraw their request, then they make a new recommendation, and so on.
A classic delaying tactic. So the Young Artists Association keeps pressuring Phoenix High School to take disciplinary action, but is being hindered by bureaucratic obstacles.
It isn't only the association. Many other local schools, universities, and institutions are involved as well, which makes it so hard to fathom.
So it's public outrage. It would be hard for anyone to stand their ground with a spectacle like this. Then again, the whole situation says a lot. Two things in particular seem strange to me. What could the students at Phoenix High School could have done to get everyone so riled up? Scarlet doesn't seem surprised. It's a fairly obvious question. She rubs her head and starts explaining the situation to me.
The Young Artists Association focuses on industry exchanges. They are mainly active in nearby provinces and usually aren't in contact with regular universities. If they do get in contact, it's because of the annual competition.
The one that caused so much controversy last year?
Seems like you've done your homework. You're right, it was a pretty big thing last year. A watercolor piece called Blossoms made first place in the painting category, but it turns out the artist Lily actually took credit for someone else's work.
That's... You mean she put her own name on somebody else's work and submitted it? That reminds me of a saying I once heard: borrowed flowers wither faster.
If the piece hadn't won the competition, it wouldn't have caused that much of a scandal. But instead, it was exactly the type of ammunition certain parties needed to apply pressure to the school and make demands.
The other participating schools were just as eager to win and wouldn't let something like that slide. Scarlet nods.
Although it's unclear how the lie was uncovered in the first place, these documents show that there's a strong desire for disciplinary action,
giving them more than enough reason to demand a rerun of the competition. Actually, that seemed to be the goal. People love to hand out punishments, as long as they're not on the receiving end.
The organizers, as well as the participants, are also applying pressure, so it looks like it's a done deal. The disciplinary action was eventually revoked, but they reevaluated the award. It was impossible for Phoenix High to maintain its ranking.
That sounds plausible. So Lily is a member of the art club?
That's right. She was the club president before Eloise took over her position.
I see. If the club president gets into trouble like that, it reflects badly on the other students. That must have led to a lot of tension between them.
Probably. A roof won't hold if the foundation is crumbling, after all.
With the last student representative involved in such a scandal, it's becoming increasingly important to find out what exactly has been going on behind the scenes of that art club.
You're absolutely right, which is why I'll be going straight to Phoenix High School this afternoon.
What? I should consume less cigarettes. Luckily enough, I am not one of those bookstore owners who have a habit of drinking a lot of tea, or else I would have spat out in a geyser just now. Isn't that a little too drastic? How would someone her age blend into a school? I can see Scarlet shooting me a smug look from behind her sunglasses.
I'm a talented enough actor to play the role of a mother.
This is the first time I've seen someone being proud of their age like that. I can try and help, but I can't guarantee the outcome.
What makes you think I need help? I've got this.
She helps me push back a big hardcover book that was about to squeeze its way out of the bookshelf.
While I was doing research yesterday, I decided that I just had to check this whole thing out for myself.
This is something big, isn't it?
That's a simple matter of fraud. That a simple matter of fraud could have so many twists and turns. It's important to get to the bottom of it and uncover what the school is hiding.
That seems to be Scarlet's main goal. You should be fine. What with your amazing acting skills, but what's the catch?
You might not be able to tell from the outside of that school, but I had a hard time dealing with their administration at first. So I did some digging online and managed to find a lead on a couple of social media platforms. All you have to do is look for a verified account with a real name authentication and check the list of users who follow it. It's really simple.
I have a hard time following what she's saying.
Anyway, here's how we should proceed.
What are my thoughts? I should quit smoking or my brain cells will die too soon. No wonder Cecile felt a strange atmosphere within the club. Regardless of who's responsible, the club has lost the championship due to internal conflicts. It's no wonder that the club members feel furious towards each other if they have all been suspected for no reason. So, could this all be the cause of Eloise's injury? As a direct result, Eloise took over the position of student representative from Lily. Did she gain power after the conflict, or did she become a replacement simply because someone had to take the fall? Either way, it's highly likely that she's involved somehow. Scarlet has made her opinion clear. It didn't take Scarlet much effort to get into the school. Working at a public institution taught Scarlet just how fragile their barriers actually are, and how easily they can be overcome. Whereas in TV dramas, it's the system itself that is the obstacle. The best approach is to trick the people in charge of upholding the barriers. Real life is a lot less action-packed than the TV dramas, and the key is to not draw unnecessary attention. The plan is very simple and old school. Pretend to be a parent and make up a student's name on the fly. Checking at the front gate is the first hurdle that has to be overcome when entering the school. Visitors have to register so they can easily be contacted should any problems arise. Two things are checked: the visitor's identity and the reason for their visit. This is done in hopes of avoiding problems in the first place, instead of having to do damage control afterwards. Scarlet forthcomingly shows the guard at the door her ID and jots down her phone number. Her behavior makes the doorman feel at ease and not suspect anything. Sure, there are a lot of rules in place, but nobody follows all of them to the letter. It's easy to take advantage of that. Scarlet experienced that time and time again over the course of her professional career, so taking this small hurdle is like a second nature to her. Wow, this place is huge. Along the way, she has a look at the dormitories and classroom buildings. It's bizarre to see how much money parents are willing to invest in their child's education. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but they're not doing it for the sake of their child's future, but for the social prestige that comes with being associated with a school like this. The club building is furthest from the school gate. Red tiles cover its exterior. The art club is on the second floor and occupies a large classroom at the middle of the corridor. Scarlet chose this particular time because most social events and activities are scheduled in the afternoon. Only 2 students are in the classroom. Luckily, Scarlet made preparations the day before, or else the classroom would have been completely empty and she would have returned from this investigation empty-handed.
I'm in position. Ready to go. Don't you dare leave me hanging here.
She's directly connected to the store manager, who's far away in another corner of the city. These types of technological advancements have made investigations so much easier than they used to be back in the day. After sending the message, Scarlet uses her phone as an improvised mirror to check her reflection. Slightly dark circles under the eyes. Not quite perfect, just the way she wanted it. Everything's ready.
Hello there. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long.
The 2 students look startled and quickly put away their tools. Although it's unclear what they were planning to do with the screwdriver that was lying at the edge of the desk just a moment ago, Scarlet pretends that she didn't see anything.
Are you the person I spoke to yesterday, miss? Yes, indeed. I was worried you two wouldn't take this seriously. No, of course we do. Are you kidding? If the association is doing a follow-up investigation, we'll cooperate. And, we didn't tell the teachers, just as you asked. This stays between us? Despite the final sanction being withdrawn, Phoenix High School received a stern warning by the Young Artists Association. Pretending to be an employee of the association, Scarlet secretly contacted 2 students from the art club to question them in person. It might cause some suspicion later on, but at least for now, her cover seems to be holding up.
Scarlet is immersed in her role, intent on maintaining her fake identity.
I will inform your school again after the investigation is complete. Don't worry. Well, the competition...
The long-haired girl seems a little anxious, and her classmate quietly pulls on her sleeve.
Needless to say, your help is much appreciated. I owe you a favor.
Scarlet notices both of the girls' eyes flash at this. Time to break the ice to loosen those two up a little.
You see, I have a daughter, and she wants to transfer to Phoenix High, too. She really likes to draw, so she expressed a lot of interest in the community activities here. I came here today to talk to you two about the situation, and to find out more about this art club my daughter keeps talking about. Are there any activities scheduled for today? Maybe I can sneak a peek.
Sure, but they're in the afternoon.
Oh gosh, that's too bad. My migraine always flares up in the afternoon. Most activities are scheduled in the afternoon, lady. That's how it works.
Lady? Scarlet keeps herself from raising her eyebrows at this. She maintains her composure and steers the conversation back in the right direction.
I see. Too bad. I would have liked to have seen it for myself. Anyway, let's get back to the point, shall we?
The two of them look at each other and nod. Time to get this investigation started for real. Scarlet takes out her phone and pretends to open the notepad app.
Let's see. There are a few things I'd like to know.
Oh, it's finally starting. Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audapostrophe, and you've been watching Hermitage Strange Case Files on Nintendo Switch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.